for our first break, and that's going to be the Cowboys 6-3, Panthers 1-8, and the Panthers, man, it's just it's stinky with the Panthers. But you know what? I said from day one that they were a work in progress. But you know what? I even had a little bit of a winkling that this team could possibly run the table and upset some things because they played in a wide open division. And I really do feel like, a lot of people will probably laugh at me when I say this, but Bryce is still getting better by the week. And he's really going through what you have to go through for your rites of passage in the NFL to become a true NFL starter, player, everything. Everybody's always looking for the instant gratification, Jeff. Always. And CJ Stroud gave you that in Houston. But he had no choice because in reality, he didn't they're not giving him as much, time as they're giving Bryce, because they didn't supply Bryce with the right type of roster in the first place, because they have a long-term vision with Bryce. What Houston was looking at was, if CJ don't work, then we'll just go dial it back to the draft and go after Caleb or Drake or um, my man Joe Mixon over at Tennessee. Just names. And we'll try to do it again because we're the Houston Texans. You know what I mean? And nobody cares about us. We're irrelevant. So you know what? CJ works. Everything's working out. Everything's going great. So we're gonna compare. Oh, Bryce is getting sacked left and right. Well, that means you need to fix the offensive line. Oh, Bryce isn't getting the ball out in time. Well, that means you need to go get better receivers. Because when it all comes down to it, Bryce Young plays the quarterback position the way you want a quarterback to play the position. But if you don't have a team that's going to play with him, then what's the point? You know what I mean? And I know that they're still building this thing, and I know where they messed up at. They hired the wrong coach. You just couldn't get Frank Reich fresh off of a mid-season firing. You had to let the guy go back to being a coordinator for a little while so he could get his feet wet. But once again, Carolina played it cheap. So it is what it is, because they're still having to pay a coach that now is over at Nebraska. So it's just really bad for teams when this happens, to where the patience runs very thin for these front offices, so quickly. So, when you look at the stats, you say, okay, Bryce is a guy that you really know you can build with. And you look at the numbers and you say, okay, if you gave him some of the playmakers that they have over in Houston, he would be in a better position. They would probably have 3 more wins than they have. But at the end of the day, you got to deal with it the way that you best possibly can. The biggest problem with the Panthers, no running game. And I'm looking at these numbers, and the numbers 8-7, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The guy's been sacked 29 times, Jeff. There's no possible way you can help a team win games if you're going to be sacked 29 times. But he's thrown for 1,560 yards. And, these are the things that you look at and you say, okay, these are things that, we know you're progressing. You're getting better. The Dallas Cowboys, let's keep it real. The Cowboys are quietly the third best team in the NFL. But do they want to be the third best team in the NFL is the question that you ask on a week in and week out basis. I know a lot of people always have their hangups with Dak Prescott, but Dak's been absolutely murdering it, Jeff. And I think that, if he plays like this for the rest of the year, Dallas could really, mess up some plans. San Francisco, Philadelphia, you know what I mean? That's the team that you really, San Francisco feels they figured them out. But Philly, you know that this is tough times. You're dealing with somebody that's going to really challenge you. So when I look at this one, I'm going to just stop yipping and yapping and get to the point. It goes down like this, Jeff. It's going to be plus 11 to the Panthers, because what happens is the Cowboys are going to play down to their competition because they're on the road. They're going to lollygag. They're going to play patty cake. But we know that Carolina is going to have a good defensive scheme ready for them come Sunday. And that's what usually happens when we get to week 11. And we are in a week where they are pretty much one-siding a lot of these lines. None of these lines are that close. And pretty much we have about 7 of these this week. So plus 11 to the Panthers this week. They're pretty much saying a lot of teams are going to get blown out, or there's just going to be a lot of upsets this week, one or the other. But I'm taking the Panthers with the plus 11. Jeff, your thoughts and where you going with this one?
Well, I talked about spending money on running backs, and one of the biggest spends Carolina had in the offseason, other than Thielen, of course, Miles Sanders, nowhere to be found, always hurt. That was going to be the check down. That was going to be to slow the front seven from the defense. No, not even on the field. He's always hurt, and so he doesn't have a lot of weapons. As you said, you're a Commanders president of the fan club. For some reason, I'm always on this Panthers team, and I too think this is a
Me too.
soft spot, and a letdown here for the Cowboys. Uh, my true number 10 with a 43, now 10 and a half with a 42. How can the Panthers be competitive here? Got to play keep away. You got to have some long sustained drives. You got to turn field goals into the red zone into touchdowns. You're going to have to get to that 14 or 17-point mark to even have a shot in this game. Obviously, keeping Micah off Bryce will be a big incentive there. Listen, if Dallas comes in running off of the first half with the Dak Prescott to CD Lamb, who has been absolutely off the charts the last 3 or 4 weeks,
Crazy.
this is going to get ugly early. I don't see that. I think Dallas tries to get Pollard, who hasn't scored a touchdown in his last 150 plus starts. I think this might be a Pollard game. Hey, let's see if we can get him going. We don't need to come in here and score 40 points to win this game. So I like Dallas, obviously, to win the game. I took the Panthers plus the 11. Give me that, I don't know, 27-18 final or something like that. 27-17 even is a cover as well. But we'll see.
And you know who's on upset alert? Cowboys this week, as usual. You know that they on upset alert. You have to look at that, but that would be a damn shame if the Cowboys lose to both of the teams that were pegged to be the worst teams in the NFL. So, that would not look good. But with that, we're going to take our first commercial break. And when we get back, we got some more early games to talk to you guys about. So you stay tuned. This is the